superstar. He is an absolute superstar, Tom Mitchell.
Cripps at the back. Cripps is too good.
Neil, yes! Oh, how good was that?
Right, guys, very fortunate to have Cam Johnson here. Obviously one of the best shooters in the game. Followed his career and seen, obviously, coming out of college, finished at North Carolina. Obviously, a good stint at Phoenix, where you guys were one of the best teams in the league for a number of years. Obviously, been at Brooklyn the last year or so. But welcome to Australia, first of all. I know it's your second time here. You've been to Canberra before, you said?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How was the first experience of Australia?
It's been pretty nice. The people are real nice, and I've only been here in these winter months, but they're pretty mild, not bad. Like last time around, I was coming directly from Phoenix in the summer, where it's super hot, 100, 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't know what that is Celsius,
Maybe
but
30s, is it? Is that 30s? Yeah.
Yeah,
30
it's
degrees.
hot.
Yeah,
it's
Celsius.
hot. It's hot, and the weather has been cool, even in these winter months. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Phoenix. 'Cause I was fortunate enough to travel there in the off season and missed a few games there, but loved that as a city. Such a good vibe. Went to Scottsdale. There was a strip of bars and clubs in Scottsdale, which was pretty good fun. But how did you enjoy Phoenix? Obviously, the basketball side of things, you guys had an amazing team. Finished the number 1 seed with 64 wins. I think it was in 2022, the year before the number 2 seed. A great team with some great players. How did you find that whole experience in Phoenix?
It was great. It was fantastic. I remember on my pre-draft workout visit, I was staying in Paradise Valley, which is a really nice part and one of the nicest, hotels that Phoenix has to offer. And I had a little balcony, and I was sitting on the balcony. Phoenix was coming off of a 1963 season. I've heard the organization is this, the organization's that. I heard nothing good, but I was sitting there on that balcony like, I want to live in this city.
Yeah.
Had a new coaching staff, new management, and I got along real well with them, and I thought, they had the right stuff. So I was like, I hope I get drafted by this organization, and I did. And I was fortunate enough to be with a good coach, a good team, where we were able to turn things around and start winning. So I love my experience there, man. It was beautiful. It was great, and it means so much that the place, team you get drafted to, the timing of it, and it can really help you develop and ascend in your career if you're with management that trusts you or coaching staff that trusts you. So that was super beneficial to me in my early years.
Yeah, and on draft night, so you actually got drafted by Minnesota and then traded that night. Were you aware that, because that's quite different to AFL, were you aware that trade was going to happen? Or
Yeah, so that trade happened probably a week or so before. They just agreed to terms.
Okay.
But the trade is not finalized until the moratorium period ends or begins or whatever that, NBA jargon is.
Yeah.
That was not until early July.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even be in the facilities with the coaching staff.
Even though you knew you were going there.
Right.
Yeah.
But I knew as soon as that pick happened that it was on behalf of Phoenix. So I knew that I was going to Phoenix in that moment.
Yeah, cool. And I'm sure you get asked these questions all the time, but have to ask, having some superstar teammates in Chris Paul, maybe we'll start with him. What was it like having someone like him on your team who I assume would be such a great mentor with everything he's achieved in the game? His knowledge, his IQ would be off the charts.
Oh, you learn so much. You just playing with him, talking to him, seeing what he does on a daily basis. You learn so much just about how the game operates and how to approach it, how to approach other teams, and how to approach just how the game transpires as a whole. So I learned a lot in my couple years playing with him, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. And what about Devin Booker as well? He's one of the most talented players in the league, one of the best scorers, and you've probably been there firsthand and witnessed how talented he is. And with these guys, I assume their work ethic on their craft is, they're putting in ridiculous hours to be the best.
Yeah, they put in the work, but it's not like you'll just find them in the gym for 10 hours in a day. Like when they put in work, it's very specific. They know exactly what they're working on. They know exactly what they're trying to accomplish on any given day, and they do that. And they're like, it's like a weird kind of perfectionist thing. Like they might be doing some certain type of rep, but they have to do it perfect the way they want it, and the way that they think is translatable into a game. So you learn a lot just watching them and being alongside them, and you just absorb as you play with them.
Yeah, and it seemed as though your role within that team was crucial with your shooting ability. Obviously, you've been known for your shooting even through college, shooting high percentages from three, in the 40s. You would have worked quite closely with them, I assume, at practice and getting to the right spots. And you've got two great guys who can draw attention and spread the floor and enable you to get those good shots. So it was almost like a perfect mix working with those guys.
Yeah, man, I heard it a lot too. I heard, oh, you're supposed to be here, you're supposed to be there. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like our team had its own dynamic, and everybody knew what spots to be in. And after a couple of years of playing with these guys, you just know what spots you're going to get shots in, how to space the floor, how to make it hard on the defense. And, you just put the defense in binds. Like, okay, pick your poison. You're going to take away this, you're going to take away that. We'll adjust accordingly. But that was big, and learning how to play with those guys. And it also teaches you that you, in the NBA is specifically, you have to learn how to operate in that team unit. And a lot of guys growing up, high school, college, they're the man that play in the NBA.
Yeah, and then you got a lot of guys. Not everyone can be the man anymore.
The ball's only in one person's hands at a time.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how you can be the most effective, most contribute the most at any given point in the game, not just when the ball's in your hands. And so guys like me and Mikal and Jay Crowder and DA, we learned how to kind of play off that. And it gives you opportunity in this league, is what I say. As long as you can find some way to contribute, some way to be a positive player, you'll be able to find momentum and stick around and gain the extra potential workload or whatever kind of role you want to achieve. But it starts with how well can you execute a specific job and contribute on the court, no matter who's around you.
Yeah. And when you're on those big win streaks and you're winning so many games, like you've got a winning percentage of the year of 80%, like there's so many games, I assume that if you have a loss, it's a small blimp in the road. But how mentally challenging is it to be like, no, we're going to go out there and we're just going to keep banking wins? Because to finish in the 1 seed with that sort of record doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, and I think we hit such a rhythm that season that you didn't even really think about it. Not that you're taking it for granted, but also that you're taking it for granted. It's like there was kind of hit a point where we stepped on the court and we were just kind of sure we'd win the game.
Yeah.
We could be down 8 going into the fourth quarter, and we'd be like, we're still going to win, though.
Yeah.
And it helps when you have Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and everybody else that we had on the roster around them. But just a lot of confidence in that group. And, that's part of the hard part of sports in general, is that you have a team that's successful and you feel like you can beat anybody, and then you don't win a championship, and it happens in every sport. But it's like, it's gut-wrenching because we're coming off of a finals loss where we're so close. You're up 2-0. We steal one of those game 3 and 4, which we could have won either of them in Milwaukee, and it's a 3-0, 3-1 series, which is a lot harder to come back from than 2-1, 2-2.
Little moments in games, isn't it, where things can go either way.
And so you're like, oh man, it's like that season's over, and then you pull up to training camp the next year, and you're like, oh, a whole nother 82 games before you can even get to that point. So you push that aside and say, it's the coach's job to have everybody focus on the present, which our coaching staff did a phenomenal job at the time of. And so our focus is to become the best team we can be to prepare ourselves to get back to the finals. But we're 64-18, number 1 seed, get through round 1, and then we lose in round 2 on, just another gut-wrenching.
Was that to Dallas?
Yep.
Yeah.
Got blown out in a game 7, and it's like.
Also had a 2-0 lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that.
Exactly. 2-0 on blowout wins.
Yeah.
So you're just thinking like, oh, we're going to run through them.
Yeah.
And then, you lose that one, and then you have to start all the way over from.
It is deflating and tough, isn't it?
It is. But, you start to understand that that's part of the process.
Yeah.
Like if only one team can win a championship every year, and
you almost have to go through.
Bide your time.
Yeah. You have to go through the journey.
Look at Denver.
Yeah,
Look how much they've been through over the years.
Yeah.
We swept them just a couple years ago. And everybody's saying this roster can never win a championship, this, that, the other. And they just kept plugging away, continuity, good guys. And then they took advantage, struck when the iron's hot, and they come with a championship, which is huge. It's the first in franchise history, 60 years, whatever. That's huge for the city, huge for somebody's like Jokic's legacy. So you learn that. And you learn that it's not easy, and you have to stick through it and just continue plugging away until it's your time.
It is really impressive with Denver. Obviously, we just saw the end of the finals just finished then, and you mentioned that what you found even more impressive was the fact that they've stuck with that core they've been under the same coach for 8 years and grinded their way through it. I guess I assume don't have as much money as some of the big ball clubs as well, and they've managed to find a process to get the job done. So how do you see that in terms of what we spoke about earlier?
I think it's great for them, and I
Yeah.
think it shows the league that I mean, obviously it helps having somebody like Jokic, but Denver just this whole entire this whole entire year, they've just seemed really connected. Like guys that understand how to play with each other and can do it very efficiently and do it very well. They have a system. They're very good at certain things, and when you're playing them, you have to be very careful not to allow them to get behind you for back cuts because Jokic can pass, and there's a lot you have to worry about. And it shows that when that team has that kind of continuity building and you give them some time, that they can win the whole thing. And I just give them a ton of credit, man. I give Miami a ton of credit too, but you know, it's two teams that got there the hard way.
For sure. Do you think that? Well, it's probably hard to argue now that Jokic is the best player in the league with what he's been able to achieve.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against that. Look at stat lines. I mean, they're not empty stats either.
Nah.
Like as somebody that's played against every NBA player, he's impressive.
Yeah,
he's impressive.
Yeah,
and he can do so many things, and he can score. You saw the Phoenix series where he scoring 50.
Yeah,
and it just made it look easy, you know, and it's just so much to worry about. He's the engine of that team, and when you put that system around him, man, it's impressive to watch. So I think, I put him at the top.
Yeah, for sure. And what about, if we don't want to talk about it for too long, but if you go back to that Dallas series, Luka Doncic was obviously a star then, and then the finals that you lost to Giannis, those two guys, you know, being up close and personal and seeing these guys who are at the top of their games, how is that when you're lining up against these guys, and you know you're doing as a team as much as you can to try and slow them down, but they're just, you know,
you have to respect it. You have to respect it, and you have to respect that they're not easy to stop. Those three are three of the best that we have in our game, and man, they present some unique challenges when playing them. For sure.
Yeah. Giannis in particular. How do you stop someone like that?
But you have to be willing to sacrifice yourself.
You put your body on the line.
Oh my God, you don't even want to.
Mate, you should recruit a few AFL players and throw them in the paint.
Yeah, seriously. I've seen in the finals, I think it was early, I think, Torrey Craig attempted to take a charge at the end of a quarter or something, and he got hit so hard. He was like somewhere around the block, ends up in the stands. He got hit in the leg. I was like, bro's not getting up. Like, that was one of the hardest. Like, just watching it, I was like, I don't want to take a charge on him. I might not ever get up. You know what I mean?
He looks so, I'm sure in person, he looks even bigger.
He's coming at you.
He's just
hard.
Built. Yeah.
He's coming at you. Like, he loves that contact.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you don't fully, like, commit, even if you do fully commit, like, it's very easy to have the foul called on yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, he's running into me. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
But, like, he's just has such phenomenal body control for his size and such, like, sheer strength to go with it, with coordinated feet.
Yeah.
It's quite a combination.
Yeah. So athletic. And then if we move towards, you know, the end of that Phoenix stint, obviously a part of the Kevin Durant trade, Mikal Bridges, some really good players yourself, obviously moving across to Brooklyn. Did you get wind of that early, or how does the trade process work? They just sort of tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, we got KD coming.
Yeah. So it was about around this time last summer, maybe end of June. And I was I was back in college at school at North Carolina with my little brother at the time. And we're all sitting in the locker room. We had probably just played pickup or something. And it flashes across the TV, like, Kevin Durant requests a trade. And then I'm like, no, he's going to say Phoenix. And then Brian Windhorst on TV says, and he put Phoenix at the top of his list of trade destinations. And I'm like, of course. Like, come on, KD. Like, of course.
Why do that?
So I was like, all right, I know that, like, for a trade to go down, just if you're doing logistics, running numbers, imagining rosters and all that, I figure I'm going to be in it. You know, I just figure out if there's a trade that goes down, I'll be in it. So I go back to Phoenix a couple days later, and me and Mikal were working out, and we're chilling. And so we just sat down one day. I think we were at, like, First Watch, which was like a little breakfast spot. Yeah. And we just spent that whole, like, 2-hour period just talking about the dynamics of the NBA, a trade, what the trade would look like if it went down. And so from that moment on, we always knew, okay, Kevin specifically requested Phoenix. And there's a chance that one or both of us would be in that trade. So it was just something that we knew. Trade talks die down, go into the next year. Out of sight, out of mind, but really in the back of your mind. And then the Kyrie stuff happens. Kyrie requests a trade, goes to Dallas, and then we look at each other like, ooh, this KD stuff might be back on the table.
Yeah.
And we actually play a game in Brooklyn. Our last game as Suns were with Brooklyn. And at that moment, we realized that there was a chance. We didn't know how big of a chance, but we realized there was a chance that that game we played in Brooklyn, we'd be playing a lot more games in that arena, you know, like that we could end up just staying in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So we finished that game. We fly out, go to Atlanta. We're in Atlanta. We have a back-to-back, and then we head home. It was like day 7 of a 9-day road trip.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in Atlanta. I get a call, and I learned that, like, okay, it's been the same thing. There are trade discussions. It's the trade deadline. Kyrie just left. They're exploring KD trades, whatever. I kind of chilling all night, go to dinner with my team. I come back. I do my treatments, my nightly routine. I'm getting ready for bed. And it's probably 1 o'clock, and I get a phone call from my dad and my little brother Puff. And I'm like, it's 1 o'clock, what? And they're like, you got traded. I'm like, I'm not even like questioning them. I'm like, for real? Like,
So I find that bizarre. So someone from the organization doesn't even
No.
tell you?
It was my little brother Puff and my dad. It was a phone call from them two. And my girlfriend at the time texted me and said, oh my God. And she left it at that. Like, she just cliffhanger. She's like, oh my God. And then she didn't respond. And I was like, what? Then I get the phone call. And then Puff and my dad are like, yeah, you got traded. I'm like, there we go. I guess I got traded. And then 15 minutes later, I get a phone call from the organization.
Right.
So I call Mikal. I hear, like, most of us are on the same floor. Mikal's on a different floor. I hear, like, my teammates like whoa, because it's a big trade. Like,
it's huge.
It's a just big,
huge,
dynamic, changing trade.
Yeah.
So everybody comes out of their door seemingly at once, and everybody's like peeking.
Did you say 1 in the morning?
Yeah, 1:15. Everybody's peeking in the hallway, and then we just kind of had this giant, like, just talk in the middle, like right off the elevator on our floor. It was about basically the whole team, just, you know, like everybody was in bed, slides on, you know.
Yeah.
Shorts on, and just everybody's just chilling, talking.
It must be so tough because you've spent so much time with these guys
Exactly.
building this
And
something special, and it's just like
literally, we're no longer teammates.
Yeah.
Like, at that moment, like, I'm not playing with you again this year. Like, I'm going to a new team, and so you're processing that all at once, and it's just it's a lot to process. So we're talking, and me and Mikal had a flight out at 9 a.m.
it happens that quick.
It's 1:30, and the minutes just keep on ticking away. 2:30, 3. I probably didn't go to sleep till about 5.
That's unbelievable.
I get a phone call from Monty, the head coach, at 4. I think he was asleep, and then woke up to it at about 4. And
he would have obviously been aware of what was going to happen, though. Like that.
Who knows?
Yeah. Okay.
Who
so
knows?
The coach doesn't even know.
Who knows?
Sometimes. Yeah.
No, I'd say the coach doesn't know a lot of the time.
Wow.
So who knows how that all transpired? But wake up, pack my bags, and it's like I said, it's day 7 of a 9-day road trip. Like, I have 1 or 2 clean outfits left. I have a suitcase full of dirty clothes, off to Brooklyn, like physicals that day, a game that night against Chicago. Mikal's trying to play. He's like, how can we play this game? How can we play this game? Well, KD had to get to Phoenix, and he had to pass the physicals for it to clear.
Right.
And it took him longer to get to Phoenix, and it took for us to get to Brooklyn.
So you couldn't play until he'd been cleared for the trade to go
Right.
through.
So
yeah.
like Mikal, he has this crazy streak of games played going on, and it didn't count against him. But he was like, how can I play tonight versus Chicago?
So he had that in his head.
Yeah. And so we watched that game with Chicago. We practiced with Brooklyn the next day, and then we play our first game with Brooklyn the following day.
Is that weird? Because you wouldn't even know these guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just
figure it out on the run.
Yeah, and so that opened, I'd say that's a real welcome to the NBA moment, because before that it's like
Everything's pretty smooth.
yeah,
easy.
it's like basketball as usual. You get a real close connection with your teammates. You kind
Routine.
of grew with them, coaching staff, city that you're in,
Mm.
and that's a real welcome to the NBA moment where you have to pick up your life, move it to a new city, and then just play basketball with these guys that you've never really played with before, and just figure it out right then and there. 20-some games in playoffs, you know?
Unbelievable.
And it's not like it's like you trying to fit in with that team. For us at the time with Brooklyn, it's like me and Mikal coming from Phoenix, Dorian and Spencer coming from Dallas, and then Brooklyn's got. So it's like you're just trying to merge a lot at one time. So it was quite an experience, but you learn a lot through it. The organization was great. Coaching staff was great in getting us up to speed. And, I think we kind of looked at it as everything was a growing opportunity, an opportunity for growth, opportunity to figure out about the team, about yourself, and I think we'll be better off from it.
Yeah, it must help having Mikal go with you though.
Oh, for
having
sure.
some familiarity.
Because there were so many times, I kid you not, where I'd be so frustrated about something, and it's just life. I mean, there's so much, right?
Yeah.
There's so much that goes on in life that, like, I couldn't even give you an example. But I know there's days where I was so frustrated. I look over at him, and he's 5 times more frustrated than me. I'm like, at least I'll go.
We're in it together. We're in it together. So I find this,
There was countless times where, like, I'd see him, and he'd just be frustrated about something, whether it was like it could be anything, and I'd be like, bro, I understand, like. And then he'd be getting angry. I'm like, no, like I'm telling you, like, I get what you're frustrated about. Like, and so it's just things that you have to work through, human nature, but going through it with somebody that you've been close with, that I've been close with my whole career, like, it helps a million times over. Because you just don't feel like alone. Like, you're like, all right, I'm going
in this together.
Somebody that I'm real close with.
I find this so interesting because obviously the AFL is nowhere near on the scale that the NBA is. You know, it's a worldwide sport. Basketball, AFL is only in Australia, but there's so much more player power here. Like, if we're contracted, we can say no to trades. We have the ability to say no. Yeah.
So some guys in the NBA do have that power. No trade clauses in your contract.
Every player's got it here. If you're contracted and they say we're going to trade you here, and you say no, but then they can make life hard for you. So they might not play you and just things like that. So it can get messy, but there's a lot more player autonomy and power.
That's good, though.
Yeah, it's good.
That's good because we were just talking about this at breakfast. I think the NBA is the league with the most player autonomy in all of professional sports in the United States.
Yeah.
So football, baseball, they probably have it worse than us in terms of those types of issues, those types of, like,
it's almost like you're disposable. Like, sometimes you must speak to players around the league, like when you talk about the frustration, it's like, really? Like, I've given you guys this, I've given you all this hard work and effort, and I know it's a business, but there's that human element as well that must...
Exactly. But you balance it out by, at the end of the day, you still have a job, you're still in the NBA, and you don't take that for granted.
No, for sure. Big picture, doing pretty well.
Yeah. And so it's like you just take it as that, you know, because that was the best piece of advice I was given. One was to focus on basketball first after the trade, because, like, bro, you're literally worried about everything. Like, what am I gonna do with this? Or what am I gonna do with my dog? What am I gonna do with my house?
It's
like,
a lot to
blah,
consider.
Blah, 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 blah. Like, you can just sit there and think of a million things that you need to do. Like, where am I going to stay in Brooklyn? Like,
I assume the organizations are pretty good at helping you with that, so you can focus on basketball.
Yeah, very good. And the people, agents, Rachel, my family, like, they help me.
Shout out to the team at the back. They're all in the room.
They help me through all of it, so I don't feel like I'm, like, drowning in it. And then, you know, the other piece of advice on that end is, like, the NBA is the NBA. No matter what city you're in, like, it's a community, it's a group. It's an honor to be a part of it. And whether I'm in Brooklyn, Phoenix, Miami, Portland, whatever it is, like, it's still, you know, I wouldn't really trade that job for anything. So that's how you just take it and you keep on going. Yeah.
Is it fair to say that most guys, or pretty much all guys in the league, would just rent and not buy property to settle in a particular area? Because at any point in time,
it depends, right? So, like, I think Phoenix is a great area to buy in just because people love living in Phoenix. But like, I'm sure there's plenty of cities where you're a little more hesitant to buy in. But, you know, there's pros and cons to each side, which we were just talking about for Brooklyn's, for Phoenix's, and for all the NBA cities. It's like, where would you buy, where would you rent, and how would you balance that out? But it kind of depends on your contract structure, how you fit into the scheme of the team, and how safe. Like, you can never feel too safe in any environment. Like, you can never settle down and feel like, all right, I'm good. Like, so
I'm good for the next 3 years.
If you're going to buy a place, you have to buy it, and in your mind reason, am I okay if I get traded? Yeah. You know, am I in too far over my head? Is this appropriate? Is this appropriate to keep? Would I be able to sell it quickly? You have to consider all those factors if you want to buy a place, I'd say.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You like living in Brooklyn?
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Way more.
So I haven't had a proper, like, I found an apartment that I could move. My lease only went to the end of June, so I just found something that I can get out of the hotel because I couldn't stay in the hotel much longer. Like, I just felt like I was always on a road trip. Yeah. So I found this apartment. I had it for a short-term lease, and at the conclusion of free agency, I'd reevaluate and explore neighborhoods and figure out which area of Brooklyn I'd like to live in, because there's a lot of cool little neighborhoods, cool little pockets.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
that should be a fun experience.
Do you head into Manhattan often, or do you sort of stay?
Actually.
Yeah?
I actually do. There's lots of events, lots of restaurants and stuff that end
Yeah.
up going down to Manhattan.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
One of your best games was the game you had the buzzer beater against New York. 9 threes, 38 points, had a huge game. Is that one of your career highlights, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I still have the ball from that game. They gave it to me after the game. So
That was a deep
pretty
three,
cool.
too.
Yeah, man, it was a heck of a game. But it, just taking advantage of opportunity. And we were just talking about this a couple minutes ago also. I played that game really angry, and I never really play angry. I usually play a lot more level-headed. And that was like a rare instance where like I was just like full on just angry at the world, kind of saying things I don't usually say, doing things I don't usually do.
It worked.
And it worked. I wouldn't say I would go through that every game.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't think it's very, it's the most sustainable method. It's probably, a lot harder on your mental. But yeah, that was a pretty fun one.
Yeah, cool.
Pretty memorable.
And so how long you guys are in Australia for? About a week?
About a week.
Hoping to get to, you've got an NRL game planned, hoping to get to an AFL game?
Yep.
We've got an AFL footy here for you, which we're looking
Thank
at
you.
before, but I'm going to have to open it because it's straight out of the packet. But bit different to your NFL footballs. Did you play that as well growing up?
I did. I played all the way basically through high school.
That's brand new. We need to pump this up, but
Well, I'll
There's,
give you this jersey in return for it.
thank you very much. That's huge. Thanks so much. So yeah, we saw a little tutorial video with the AFL ball on the video before. What are your
Punch out.
What are your first impressions?
There's a lot of people on the field. It looks chaotic. It kind of just looks real running gun. You can get knocked out at any second, but you can see the appeal in that.
Yeah. We might have to recruit you and throw you in the midfield or something.
A lot more. No, I don't think my legs would be. Oh, you can't tackle below the waist, can you? Even tall people.
Yeah, knees and below.
That'd be like I just feel like my legs would be exposed.
Because in the NFL they go at their legs, don't they?
Yeah, but
I think.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But the NFL seems much more unidirectional.
As in, you know where the traffic's coming. Yeah.
I feel like the action in the short AFL films I watch is just everywhere.
Yeah.
You're left, right, behind you, in front of you, and it's a lot more of a
it's 360
game.
And I feel like having seen some college football and NFL when I've traveled to the States, the collisions are much harder. I guess they've got protective gear, and
they're more reckless.
What was the word you used? Unidirection? That's a good word.
Yeah.
But they hit hard because they're literally going like this. Whereas I guess we're more prone to swiveling type injuries and twisted knees and things like that because it's more that and less impact, I would say.
Yeah, that's good analysis.
Yeah. But we'll have to, Sammy, can we get some more videos up? Because we'll have to show you some of the biggest hits in the AFL because we might finish on that.
You guys wear mouthpieces and all
Mouthpiece, that's about it.
Have to.
Yeah. But the concussion issue is quite topical in the AFL at the moment.
Is it head off the ground or is it head to like a knee or head to head? What's
the most common? At the moment, it's sling tackle. So when your arms are pinned, dump, head hit the ground. Yeah. And no helmet.
Do they want to get rid of that?
Yeah.
Tackle?
They do, yeah.
Do you use that tackle?
I've used it before.
Do you get tackled in that way?
I've been tackled that before, yeah. It's not great when you're in a vulnerable position, so they're sort of teaching us techniques to do it less forcefully, still try and strip the ball, but without hurting the opposition because we've got to look after each other out there. We're just going to fire a few quick fire questions at you to finish. I'm a bit of a basketball nuffy, if you can't tell. Let's do the all-time starting five.
All-time starting five. Okay, what's at stake here? Just my favorite starting five of all time?
Let's just go. Yeah, your favorite. Favorite.
Because sometimes I put myself in there. I'm just warning you.
Okay. Well, we'll have you as a six man.
Okay, because I like to just pretend.
I know you came. You were third in the six man of the year 1 year, but you can put yourself at the six man. You're not starting.
I gotta think about this because I like to roster build, not just throw people out there.
You can't put Mikal in there either.
I'm going to seventh. Go. Steph Curry.
Good start.
Jordan.
Yeah.
LeBron. This fourth spot is hard.
You got a few names in mind?
Yeah, I would want like somebody that I could put at a 4, like a KD or even like a Larry Bird.
Who can shoot and not a pure
Yeah.
traditional power forward.
Yeah. Because I have distributor in LeBron,
Yeah.
shooter in Curry, everything guy in Jordan. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put Bird at the 4 just to give it some generational variety.
Like it.
And then at my 5, I'm gonna go Wilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good 5.
I think.
And then you off the bench, that's even more damaging.
Yeah. Me off the bench, 6 man.
What about toughest player to guard that you've had to guard?
In the NBA right now?
Yeah.
Giannis.
Yeah. You've had to guard him personally before?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun, like guarding somebody like Steph. He's always on the move, so that's challenging.
Yeah.
It just never stops.
Yeah.
And you have to bite on every fake, so he use that to his advantage. So he might, he always has you on his heels, which is impressive. But yeah, there's a lot of talented guys out there, man.
Yeah.
A lot of talented guys,
Oh,
even guys that don't get respect.
Yeah, who aren't the big names. Yeah.
Or just can be nightmares to guard just because they can do a lot.
Yeah.
And so the NBA defense is a lot more like and when you're younger growing up, the objective is defense. With defenses, don't let them score. Don't let them score. The objective in defense in the NBA is a lot more along the lines of make them do something that they're not as good at doing.
And if they score, you got to live with it sometimes.
So it's like if he doesn't like to go left, make him go left and earn that.
Yeah.
If he, wants to pull up for middies, take those away. If he wants to shoot threes, take those away. If he's somebody that gets to the basket, make him shoot jump shots.
Yeah.
It's much less about taking away everything and much more about taking away their preferences.
Yeah, for sure. That's great insight, Cam. Thanks so much for your time today.
Man.
And
appreciate
thanks
you.
for bringing your
in
team in
games.
today.
When's your next game?
We played yesterday. We actually got a bye, so we got a week off, and then we're back into it. We're on top of the ladder at the moment, so
Good.
hopefully,
How many games in?
Halfway through the season.
Good.
So we played 22 halfway through. So mate, thank you so much. I know you've got some things today. You got a massage later. I hope that's nice and relaxing for you. I got a nice dinner planned. And enjoy your time in Australia. I hope you like Melbourne.
Appreciate it.
Great to meet you.